Want to cheat on me? Fine. I'll play musical chairs forever. This is about my former boss at pretty big grocery chain. So Dave was a pretty average guy, 40-some years old, graduated high school, married his high school sweetheart, got a stocker job at the grocery store, and worked his way up to store manager. I worked at his store for 8 months and he was a great boss. Everything got weird in month 9 when he was suddenly fired, and the very next month he came back as the produce manager. Then the produce manager, Bob, suddenly became the store manager. I was stocking with Dave one night after the fact and asked him what the duck was going on, so he told me. Turns out Dave's high school sweetheart wasn't so sweet. She married him because he was 6'7", the star of the basketball team, and she thought he was going to play in the NBA. When he chose quiet, small-town life instead, she never forgave him for it, nor did her well-to-do white parents. No money, no tolerance types. She even cheated on him with guys that worked beneath him in the stores he managed. He told me he had to change stores 5 or 6 times over the years, but had stayed with her for his kids. She threatened to take them away, and he didn't want them to suffer or for him to be known as another deadbeat to everyone in the community. So he played the long game. He was a good father to his kids. When his wife's parents were peacefully deleted, he used the big inheritance to pay for all 3 of his kids to go to really good private schools and top-tier colleges, with the rest set up in a trust. Lived frugally and got an accountant to manage his savings. At the youngest kid's high school graduation, he served his wife the divorce papers and walked away. She can't get alimony because he needs to be gainfully employed for 12 consecutive months before they can take anything. So every 11 months he gets fired and rehired at a different position with the same pay, lol. The inheritance is gone because he spent it all on the kids, and his savings is off in Uzbekistan or something where she can't touch it. She got the house but has never worked her entire life, her looks have faded, and she has no money in the bank. Last he heard, she had to sell the house and move in with her sister. He still has a great relationship with his kids and is loving his midlife crisis because there's a lot of girls nowadays curious about that BBC. I went in the store when I was back home and Dave was still there and still getting fired. Edit. So there seems to be some confusion. Alimony is not child support. Alimony is post-divorce monthly payment to a former spouse so they can keep their standard of living, and has no end date. So a person could technically pay alimony until the day they were peacefully deleted. Edit 2. Yes, afterwards I did some fact checking. I was nosy and wanted to know if anyone she ducked was still working there. I asked around and one of them was. He was then the assistant manager of the store down the street. Everyone at Dave's current store heard about it before Dave ever got there, which is kinda sad. Hey guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. It would really help me out. Thanks. This is hilarious and brilliant. Good for him. Reminds me of the guy, former top executive, who took a minimum wage job to spite his wife. She got a percentage of his take-home pay, and since he was getting paid so little, it was his version of a duck you. Why does he still need to be fired every 9 months if he's divorced now? Every 11 months. It's so he doesn't have to pay alimony, which starts after you get a divorce. I know a guy that does this. He's a car detailer, but spends everything he earns on alcohol. His buddy owns a bar and takes the money and saves it under his account and manages his bills for him. Don't know the whereabouts of his ex, but he said they practically made her homeless. Great story. In most states, alimony is not forever anymore unless there is substantial wealth on the payer's side. The spouse getting alimony is expected to move on with life and become independent, especially if that person was awarded the family residence. I'm surprised the court didn't catch on to his 11 months getting fired game. My state/county is pretty backwards. Probably don't care, since it is still legal. There's not much you can do besides changing the actual law. This is why I will never get married. Taking your relationship and putting a poop ton of legal tape over the door means you can't just leave. And if things don't go over well, or just aren't working, then that's a big legal, financial, and mental pain in the butt. Maybe you get unlucky and marry a total witch. Next thing you know, you are ducked now. Maybe some woman marries the guy she loves, puts all the time and money into the wedding, then he just walks out. People aren't designed to be able to union with someone else forever and be legally bound to another person. And more often than not, people fall out of love. It's a natural process, which is why divorce rates are sitting at that 40-ish% mark as it is. And everyone is different, which is why I respect and understand if someone doesn't get married and it works out very well. But not everybody is that fortunate. Yet, the pressure to get married is stupid. It isn't even for that person anymore. It's for the parents and the family. And at that point, I think people should really stop and think, is this for me or for them? Live for yourselves. Get married for yourself if that's what you really want, because you wouldn't not get married if you really wanted to.